Hey boss babes, it's your girl, Demante Concite, and you're listening to Blondie Boss Talk. Let's turn the glam and let's get this party started. Hey boss babes, welcome to our second episode of Blondie Boss Talk, the podcast where we empower, inspire, and spill the tea on making it happen. I'm your host, Demante, and today's guest is beauty and brains and absolute boss energy all in one, Chelsie. From winning Miss Scotland to representing Scotland in Miss World 2024 in India, Chelsea's story is everything we stand for: grit, grace, and glowing from inside out. We are diving into confidence, competition, and a kind of growth that no crown can buy. So let's get into it. Chelsie,
hi.
Welcome to Pod, and how are you today?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really good. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you so much for traveling today.
No, you're more than welcome.
Well, you're traveling all the way from Inverness today, are you?
Yes.
And thank you so much. Also, you are my second guest and very important guest. The honored. So obviously, who doesn't know Chelsie? Well, now you know. She basically competed in Miss Scotland and represented Scotland in Miss World 2024. And also we met because I was Miss Great Britain Edinburgh finals last year, and you actually was my judge.
Yes, I was one of your judges.
And this is how we met.
Yeah.
The first time, I think I seen you, arriving at Preston Field House, and we had interviews, and I walked in the room with 6 judges panel. And
super intense.
Oh, that was my scary moment.
Really intense.
But so that's how we met, and here we are.
I know.
Almost a year later.
Yeah,
and
near enough a year, isn't it?
Yes, I think it was July. It was the 5th of July last year, and then who could think that?
I know.
This time, basically this year. Who knows? First of all, I'm gonna start a podcast, and then even have you as my very special second guest.
Thank you.
So tell us. So what's going on in your life? So last year was a lot going on. So walk us through. So you had Miss Scotland, Miss World. It's a big year to remember.
Last
2024.
year was a big year for me. Yeah. So I was crowned Miss Scotland in October of 2023, but I was Miss Scotland 2023. In comparison to where Miss World lies, it lands funny. So, I was crowned in October, and then my Miss World was supposed to be in December. But it got pushed back and pushed back.
Did they actually? Is that a normal thing to see?
I think that was the first proper one since COVID.
Right. Is that 2020?
So 2021.
How long? Okay.
2021 was the last Miss World.
Oh, interesting.
And it was in Puerto Rico, and they all got sent home, and that's when the kind of COVID outbreak happened.
So you was basic the first.
Or they had a COVID outbreak during the competition, I think.
Oh, that's
so
interesting.
we were the first big competition.
That's interesting.
Back. So I think it was just a lot pulling things together and getting back into the rhythm of it and things. So they ended up pushing it back until February. So I went in, I think it was the start of March I went, and I was back in April. Yeah, that's right.
So you was away for
It was about a month, yeah.
So that's like a full month.
Yeah.
You had to basically go away somewhere in India for the final. So was it 2 locations you had?
Yeah, so we were in New Delhi for the first 2 weeks, and then we moved to Mumbai for the next.
So what is it even like preparing for stuff like that? Like, so you had some time to prepare. Was there some times changed as well of a couple months, giving you to also prepare and do more things as well? What is it actually like preparing for such a big competition?
I don't think you can ever fully prepare for it, and I think you're always in a position where you don't fully know what to expect, because there's always things that they do like to throw you some curveballs, but I feel like that's pageantry as a whole. There's always curveballs. So yeah, there's always things that you're not prepared for, but preparing yourself to the most you can before you go is like learning how to speak properly, how to answer questions properly, how to hold yourself in a room full of important people, how to walk, like just these little things. These are all things that you do to prepare, but like I say, you can never really fully prepare yourself.
In terms of, I say, like, it was so much you have to prepare for. Is there anything you would say, like, it's a good advice to anyone there? What you actually learn during those, it's a 4 weeks. It's a long time of, to be there.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, be presenting, your country, representing Scotland. So what do you think is like maybe top couple points you'd be like, oh, this is the key, being in such a like place where you were for Miss World?
Yep. Before I went, or like when I was there?
Even there, to be honest.
Yeah, I think before I went, I took any opportunity I could to speak in front of people, because like we were saying before, that was kind of my, not downfall, because I can talk to anybody, like I could talk to a brick wall, but in front of a crowd of people was where I used to struggle. But I just took every opportunity I could and forced myself into that situation of talking in front of people, and then I got over it like that. And it was second nature.
Do you feel like now,
Yeah.
I know we're here
Yeah.
doing also podcasts, but do you think like since then that is your strength, because you really put yourself out there, you maybe felt okay, like maybe speaking in public? I think people, when you see loads of people, that's the scary part.
That's what it is. It's just seeing all these faces in front of you. But yeah, I think forcing myself to be in that position, even if I didn't want to be in that position. And it didn't always have to be like a standing up and doing a presentation. My charity regularly hosted events and they would ask me to go along. So if it was walking on a catwalk, and it's the same thing, you're walking on a stage with all these lights and all these faces staring at you and putting yourself in that uncomfortable position.
Made it probably easier for you to get used to. So for example, when you went there, obviously you had, I said 100, how many countries?
120
Wow,
girls.
so that's how many girls actually was representing different countries as well.
Yeah.
Did you feel like there was like really high energy or like a bit intimidating? What do you
I think
felt?
a mixture of everything. Obviously you're with all these beautiful women from all over the world, and they all have such different talents, and each one is better at something than the next person. So somebody might be amazing at speaking, somebody might be amazing at walking, and when you watch them, it's really hard not to self-criticize and say, oh, I'm not that good at that, I'm not going to get anywhere with it. And I think before I went, I was very aware that that was the environment that I was walking into. Not that it's a bad environment to be in, because everyone's so empowering and they'll help you in any given opportunity. If you need a hair curler, someone will give you one. If you need a lip gloss, someone will give you one. But I think just I had to constantly remind myself why I was there, and that I wasn't going to win. And I think going with the intention of winning, it makes it worse for you. I think you have to go into that situation for an experience.
Because that's an experience probably many people wish for. Because you have to be a certain age and stuff. Is it like you had 26?
Yeah.
That's the cutoff age for Miss World. And it's a lot of things, to do and prepare. And then it's say like being even there for a month and then actually experiencing the whole experience. So obviously, did you probably make some friends during this step?
Absolutely. Yeah. My roommate, so you each get paired up with a different country. So my roommate was Northern Ireland, and me and her had actually spoken beforehand, and we met in the airport on the way over to India. So we were on the same flight, we bonded before we even got there, and then we found out we were roommates, because you don't find out who you're sharing with until you're there. So
everyone have to basically share the rooms to basically the bond as experience, isn't it?
So yeah, me and her were like the double of each other. We got along so well. We were so similar. And
I think I did see something. So I've done some digging. Of course, I had to do. And I think I came across, it was like a reel or something on your Insta where you actually having a laugh that your room was the most positive, most exciting.
We did a little podcast situation in our hotel room. Yeah,
I did see. I was like, anyone comes to our room basically gets the best experience, positive vibes, and is it Dyson?
I took my Dyson hairdryer, and everyone kept saying to me, how are you doing your hair? And I said, come to my room and I'll give you a blow dry.
So basically that was the top tips from Miss World. Have a good roommate who maybe has some good...
And I took, from speaking to previous Miss Scotlands, they all kind of give you little hints and tips on what to take and things like that. So someone told me to take snacks and tea bags.
Oh, okay.
So I took snacks and tea bags, and it made the world
from something like basic from home, from UK.
Yeah, I
something
took
you like.
Cadbury's chocolate and Tetley tea bags, and it made my experience incredible.
See, when I travel,
a little bit
there is something about my tea.
Yeah.
I have a weird obsession with like it's like a green tea with like passion fruit and mango flavor.
Oh.
And every time I use it, it's like, oh my God, it smells so good. But it's my obsession. Even when I go home, my mom was like, why did you bring a tea? I was like, listen, this is the secret of my happy life.
Yeah.
Small things like that makes you feel like home. So obviously you was there for a long time. You had a competition and then it came to the final.
Yeah.
So when it comes to final, what do you expect? What's it like in the backstage? Obviously, you have a big stage.
Yeah.
You have loads of people. Is it filmed on TV? Like, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, it used to be on television a long, long time ago. And then, I think it's a lot to do with licenses and things for hosting the show. So there's certain countries show it. We don't in this country. But I think it was on YouTube, I want to say. I'm pretty sure they live streamed it. But it was, it's a whirlwind. You go through so many weeks of rehearsing. We rehearsed pretty much every single day for about 3 weeks, I would say. You have the odd day here and there that maybe equates to a week where you're out doing different activities and going to events. But you're always rehearsing.
So you basically have anything you see like on the films, basically for anyone who maybe is not familiar with pageants or beauty competitions. So it's basically similar. You basically have your opening number, how you walk around the stage. Probably you have your, what kind of rounds did you do?
So all of our rounds were before.
Okay.
So we had a top model round, a talent round, sports. Then there's a head-to-head challenge, which was the G20 summit. Where girls got to speak. This is
quite interesting because that's quite different maybe what I would have thought would be. So it's a talent.
Yeah.
I guess your talent today because I was like asking about the talent. So what actually was your talent?
My talent was Highland dancing. I did Highland danced quite a bit when I was younger.
Okay.
Until I was about 16 and then I gave up.
But then obviously that came to play.
Came in handy, yeah. So I dusted off my dancing shoes. I got on the phone to my dancing teacher and did a few refresher lessons, and then that was my talent.
So I think that's quite good because obviously when it comes to Scotland, you want to come back. You could also sing and probably do quite a few things for
I can't
talent.
sing. Nobody would want to hear me sing.
But having something to do with Scotland, where I think adds extra spice to it.
Yeah.
Instead of being like something everyone probably could come up with.
It's so different, and
no one else will do it
because
it's so specific with the country.
Yeah.
So that's quite interesting. So you said you had a sports day.
There was a sports day. I had a bad ankle that day because when we flew over to India, for some reason my ankle swole up. I don't know if it was the fluid.
That's not ideal when you have to walk in heels and stuff.
So, they wouldn't let me wear heels. I wasn't allowed to wear heels. But they look after you really well. They had doctors coming to check on me every day. They were getting people to ice my leg. I'm sure I could have iced it myself, but they had somebody there doing it for me.
Oh, that's so good. They actually really looked after you.
They were really
left on your devices.
Yeah, really, really caring. And then even on those days, obviously, they didn't want me walking about on it and things. So the girls were rehearsing. So they would just let me sit and watch on the side, and I would keep my foot up, and they had it all bandaged with the ice pack.
So then you couldn't do sports day?
No.
I
didn't mind.
So what's it supposed to be like? It's such a weird thing to see like pageantry and sports day.
Yeah. I think it's just to show a bit of fun, really. The sports day is just a bit of fun. You're in different teams. So as soon as you get there, you're split up into your continents. And your sports day, you're in your continent. So we were obviously Europe, and there's different parts to it. So there was like a relay race. I'm sure there was cricket because we were in India.
Oh, it's interesting.
I'm sure there was like a football thing.
It's quite a lot, sports things for girls.
It was a lot.
I didn't think I would be good in it.
Yeah,
maybe
I didn't mind missing out, to be quite honest. I was quite happy observing.
Just kind of watched it. And then what else we have then? So it was talent, sports, and then
Then there was the head-to-head challenge, which was...
What you can expect from that?
So initially, like I said, they throw curveballs at you. So they don't tell you exactly what their plan is for each of the challenge.
Basically can't prepare. So
but you know roughly what to expect. So in the head-to-head thing, you know that you're either going to be answering questions, talking about your charity. It just depends on what capacity. So this time they got us to stand up where the G20 summit was held.
That's in India, isn't it?
Yeah. And where all the world leaders have stood and spoke their piece. So we stood up on that podium and all spoke about our charity individually.
This is amazing.
And then from that, they then selected people to then go on and talk about different kind of issues in the world, different topics, whether it's like hunger, poverty, education, things like that. And then the finalists from that round then sat at a round table again in the same G20 summit building.
Well, that's actually interesting. And that is something different. I would not expect that.
No.
So a couple of things you probably would not even normally hear about when it comes to like pageantry or beauty competitions. And you're like, this is probably, I didn't know that. Like that is quite something
and
else.
I was astonished by the girls that were speaking about these topics, and they were just so knowledgeable and spoke so passionately about it, and they were just so eloquent, and it was really, really inspiring. And like you say, you don't put that alongside pageantry usually, or the person who maybe wouldn't think that, and it's amazing to see.
So I think when they say beauty competitions, they know about the looks really. I think yes, you have to have certain things to tick the box. I don't know, is the height important?
No, I think it used to be back in the day.
Back in the days, a lot of it used to be different back in the day. I think
I'm sure if you watch very, very old Miss World competitions, I actually watched one the other day, it was like 1970 something, and they were, when the girls are walking on the stage in their swimming costumes, they were talking about their like different measurements and their height and what shoe size they were, like as they were walking. They were giving commentary on saying like her hips are 28 inches.
This is strange, isn't it? This
really,
is weird.
Really weird. But no,
but it's not like that anymore.
No.
Just anyone, because we like also you've done Miss World. I'm doing Miss Great Britain. Edinburgh final as well. This is not about that. It's more about being inclusive and actually being more than the looks. You have to be quite clever girl, I think, to actually pull off such a competition, because the topics they speak, you have to probably have like a general understanding about not only politics but like a lot of other like things, and you have to be passionate
world
about
issues, just things going on in the world. You have to be in the know, and you have to know about these things, because you don't know when somebody is going to ask you what your opinion is on something like that, or you might be in a position where you have to speak about it at an event.
So it was something like that, isn't it? Like you would never know when someone comes in and would actually ask an interesting topic. So obviously you had your own charity you picked to support. Do you want to tell us like what you actually picked and why you picked it?
So my charity was of one local to me. It was the Highland Hospice. So they specialise in palliative care, but it can be from elderly to youngsters, and they also do offer different kind of bereavement services as well. So if somebody does pass away within the Highland Hospice and they have a family, then they offer bereavement services for that family, therapy, rehabilitation, things like that. They offer so many different services for being a small local charity. So I worked with them for my year, and the reason why I picked them was I've had several family members going into the hospice. It is unfortunate that obviously anybody would be in that position to have to go into the hospice in the first place, but it's fortunate in the sense that they have the opportunity to experience that kind of care, because I know just from being in and out of hospital myself, you don't always receive the best care that you deserve, and these people who are in these positions and have these illnesses, they do deserve to have the best care that they can, especially if it's a life-shortening illness and they might not survive it. So this is their last opportunity to have that special treatment, and they might have given their whole life to somebody else, dedicated to somebody else, and given somebody else everything. So now is their opportunity to get that back.
This is actually really beautiful. And this is basically a charity you picked for, I think especially, when it comes to Miss World, it's nice to represent your local. Not only, it could be, for example, support cancer research UK, which we could actually go into afterwards. But I think because you went for local as well, is actually, so is it based in Inverness as well? Or do you have
based in the Highlands.
Highlands, okay.
So it covers most of the Highlands, and they have I think the hospice itself isn't the only one that's in Inverness. And then they have like different charity shops and things. So one of the events that they hold throughout the year, it's called Catwalk for a Cause. And I was involved in that. So they basically, different people, whether they've had cancer, have family that have had cancer, people who have been in the hospice. There was a girl last year, her mum passed away in the hospice. Just different things like that. Anyone that's been touched by the hospice in some way, shape or form can be involved in it. And they go along to the Highland Hospice charity shop warehouse, pick an outfit that's been donated by somebody else, and then they model it on the catwalk. In front
Am
of
I right to say that one of the dresses you picked and you wore in Miss World on a public stage?
I actually found it when I was looking for outfits for one of the catwalk models. So you basically have this big massive warehouse through the back that's got all the clothes that have ever been donated that aren't for sale yet, and you just rake through the rails, and it was so much fun just having a look at all these things. And I found so many different pieces. I found a Valentino blazer, I wore a blue dress, a blue lace dress in Miss World, and then that navy one with the white spots.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, that one got a lot of compliments, and it was just like, it cost me like £5 from the hospice.
This is amazing, especially with a charity, something you supported, and then actually went on a global stage. You find something and you wore it, and obviously had so much. Because I noticed that as well. It was like popping up everywhere. Everyone was reposting. It's actually beautiful to see that. So of course, when it comes to just going back to the final and stuff. So when actually came to the day and you was on the stage, and then what would you think was the most like scary experience? Because also you had your family there as well. Did they had family travel?
Yes. They came over. So my mum, dad, gran and papa all came over to see me. And my mum had on this neon orange dress, like brighter than the curtains. And I could see her as soon as I walked out. I seen her dress. She was in one of the first tables. So you knew where they are. So I knew where they were. But I think that actually brought me a sense of peace because I just focused on them. And it's so easy to get distracted and get lost in the crowd and just look at the lights and think how daunting it is. But I think when you've got something to focus on, or you've got someone to focus on, it does calm your nerves.
Especially having your family there, especially when it's such a big event. Yeah. And I think it's exactly what you needed.
I just wanted to do them proud. I wasn't, like I said to you earlier, my reason for going wasn't to win. And there is people that go to win, and that's all power to them. Some people dedicate their whole lives to it, which is amazing, and I admire it. But for me, being Miss Scotland was what I wanted, and I achieved that. So going to Miss World was just an experience for me. So going on that stage, I just wanted to do them proud. I knew it would be something my mum would never forget, my gran would never forget.
It's something like no other thing. So was it actually pageant something you wanted to do when you're younger? How you even end up in the situation where you are in the Miss World stage? What was the first decision that Chelsie was like, okay, like I want maybe apply for this?
It was just through modelling. I've modelled since I was like 14. I got scouted by an agency in Glasgow when I was 14, and then I signed with them, and I ended up doing a few photo shoots with the licence holder of Miss Scotland. She's a stylist as well. So she would always mention it to me, drop it into conversation, say, I think you should do it. And I was like, no, it's not my thing. But again, it's really easy to say it's not my thing or talk badly about pageantry when you don't know what it involves. So at that point, I didn't know what it involved at all until two girls who I'd done a lot of modelling with, Mary and Romy, when they both won Miss Scotland, that's when I started to find out more about it.
Because also someone in your circle maybe said something, and maybe could actually see their journey and what you actually did.
Journey. It was Mary. I seen a lot of what Mary was posting. She'd done a lot of charity work, and she raised an astronomical amount of money. And Romy, I used to do a lot of shows with her, so she would talk about it sometimes as well. So yeah, seeing them do what they did made me realize what it was actually about, and I would have no idea had I not known.
So am I right to say that you applied for Miss Scotland? That's the first time, or this was the second attempt?
This was the second attempt.
So that's just only twice you've done it.
Yes.
That's and then basically was maybe 24 or something.
2018 I did it.
All right. Okay, so that's pre-COVID.
Yes, pre-COVID. And I was runner-up then, and I was happy being runner-up. I knew I had
been there.
I had put in so much work and so much time and so much effort into it, and I knew I had given that my everything. And I thought, you know what, if my everything isn't good enough, then I'm happy. I can put my hand on my heart and say that I've done everything I can. So I was fine with that. And
that was quite a big break. I don't know, in my head I thought maybe you came back next year. So it was also that pre-lockdown and after lockdown. That's how we live life.
Yeah.
Pre and
so
post.
after I done it, there was only one more. So it was 2019, and then COVID fell in 2020.
And then basically also you couldn't do it because they didn't do it for a while.
Yeah.
That's explaining. That's what it adds up. Because I was thinking, that's a long break. Pageantry also, maybe in some ways people do have misconceptions what it actually is and what it stands for. It's a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know, I feel like sometimes when you get into that kind of field, which is again crazy when people think, oh, pageants, you do get a lot of opportunities and coming your way.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that was what was happening?
Absolutely. Through my year as Miss Scotland, it's kind of to be expected. I think no matter which pageant or competition you're involved in, if you are the title holder for that competition, you expect it and you know that you're going to have a busy year. So I'd prepared myself for a busy year last year. It's continued on into this year, even though I don't have a title anymore. And I didn't expect that. I didn't prepare for that. I was very much ready for a peaceful life. I was ready to take a step back.
From Miss Scotland.
Yeah. But I'm taking it in my stride. And I think this year there's not so much pressure on me to say yes. And I think that's where the difference is.
So you can actually choose what you want to do and when you can do it. Because also you have a full-time job as well.
Exactly.
It's only... when you have free time, you can actually do extra stuff. Because do you do a bit of modeling? Because you do quite a lot.
Yeah, I do. I take far too much.
Here you are on podcast as well. I would want to say, where do you have this time?
Do you know, my work have always been really accommodating, especially through my year as Miss Scotland. They were really supportive of it, which was lovely because they didn't have to do that. And I just worked myself to the bone. I didn't give myself a day to stop, because at the end of the day, you do only hold that title for a year, and you need to make the most of that year, because you're never going to have that again. So you need to take it while you've got it.
So you smashed it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Taking a well-deserved break. Yeah. And obviously, we did speaking on the way here that also we met through Ms. GB, Miss Great Britain, Edinburgh. So you also end up judging and doing all different things, end up with different interesting events, meeting interesting people. Is there anything you've done in that year? Maybe you'd be like, oh, this is a pinch moment. Is that even my life? Is that real? Do you have apart from obviously from being Miss World, this is honestly a different field, but anything else you think, wow, actually I've done it. I can't believe it.
It's not a big thing, but I did sit in a moment and think, how on earth am I here? I got invited to speak in schools quite a lot, and that's just the weirdest thing ever, because I remember when I was in school, it was the police that would come in, or nurses that would come in, and people who are really impactful in the community, to then me being invited into schools to speak about what I was doing. It was weird being in that position of people wanting to listen to what you have to say and how you got to where you were.
But I think it's quite nice thinking that kids and young people, young adults will actually think, wow, this is something we would want to hear. Yeah. Do you feel you had a lot younger girls coming over and was asking questions? Because also they will be looking up to you.
Yeah.
It's almost I don't know, girls when they're younger, I don't know, they want to be princesses maybe. And that's exactly what you had, a crown and everything else. Yeah. So do you feel you had a lot of questions from younger, I don't know, maybe teenagers as well?
Not even just about how to do pageantry or how to get into it, things like that. Just also interested in what it was, because like we were saying before, I think there's such a misconception with pageantry and these beauty competitions that is what they are, is a beauty competition, but it's so much more to that. And I think from speaking with these teenagers and kids in schools, they don't understand that, because it's not something that they've been brought up with.
Everyone knows that one film.
Yeah, that film.
We know which film.
We play the glasses.
Oh, yeah, that's
like your
the
fingers.
one.
Yeah.
It's a Sandra Bullock, I think,
Yeah.
isn't it? So everyone knows that film. Every single time they mention that film, I was like, yep.
Actually, yesterday was April 25th.
Yeah, and anyone in pageant world, they know it means
Yeah.
April 25th.
Yeah.
I believe that. I posted it.
Yeah.
But yeah, yesterday was April 25th. Insider joke.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, of course, now you have a lot of probably people coming to you with different things like modeling, other opportunities and stuff. And you must feel like that you have so much going on. How do you still like manage to like juggle everything? Because obviously last year you knew you have to do it, and also it's 1 year you wanted to make sure like you actually take most of it. How do you manage to do it? Like, where is the time? Like, how do you do it?
Now I'm really particular about what I do. If something works for me, or I can move things about with ease to make something work, then I'll do it. If it means me not seeing my partner or not seeing my friends or my family or anything for like a long amount of time, if it means me giving up work, things like that, then I'm very, very particular about it. I'll only do things that I can make work for me. And I
kind of
think it's
more
good.
picky, but it's this, you still have probably enjoying to be
and I
busy.
think that's the way I found the most balance in doing a bit of this, a bit of that, but then also having like a normal life as well.
Not like last year.
Not like last year at all.
last year doesn't count.
No.
See, in terms of, for example, probably what we're trying to do again with this podcast, we want to kind of inspire and kind of in a way show that, sometimes there is not that easy for everyone to maybe be confident. Do you actually feel like you was always confident?
No, definitely not.
Do you feel like you maybe
Definitely
more like a shy person and I had to level up to obviously be where you've been?
I think before I'm not confident in terms of like cocky or things like that. I'm not like that whatsoever. But I'm not shy. I'm like an in-between. And I would go through spells of being shy, but then I can very easily switch on the confidence and it's almost like an act. But I think that's come from modelling, because you do have to act in front of a camera and you do have to put on a persona that you are this confident person and switching up your poses and doing this, and no matter who's behind the camera you just need to go and you've not got a choice in the matter. So I think I'm really good at flicking a switch, but now after Miss Scotland I feel like that switch is just always on.
It's harder, I think, when you are younger. I remember, I think when I was younger I always felt like confidence maybe it comes and goes. Definitely. I think with age it gets easier, but when you're young and then you see someone else like doing so well and you're trying to compare yourself with others, do you ever like feel like you're comparing yourself to others? Even like, social media is one of those things where do you see everyone either living an amazing lifestyle or you do have honestly like social media is a bit crazy there.
I think it's so hard not to compare yourself nowadays, especially with social media. If you go on your phone, there's such a simple one, but I actually go through on a daily basis at the moment. I go on my phone and I see all these girls with blonde hair like yours, and my hair was that blonde at one point, and I thought, no, I don't want my hair that blonde anymore. But now I go on my phone and I see all these girls with blonde hair and I'm like, I want my hair like that. And it's such a small thing, and it doesn't impact my life on a day-to-day basis, but it just shows you how easily a social media post can influence somebody or make somebody want to do something or change the way that they look or the way that they dress or anything like that. Is so easily done. And I think it's so important in this day and age with the effect of social media that we're careful about what we post and how we... All these social media influencers and things, they're great at posting different outfits and things, but if it's something aesthetically in your face, I don't know, your teeth, things like that you have to cosmetically change, you can see how easily people are influenced. You need to be so careful.
Yeah, because I think it could be so many different things. It could be the way you look.
Yeah.
You know, your weight, your appearance, you know, even the brands and, you know, designers. Because it could be so many different things where you actually make you feel, maybe someone feel like, right, I need to do this or have this or change something, have like I don't know, like operation or something, where I think sometimes when you are who you are, becomes your not weakness, but actually strength, because you know, a lot of things, I think a lot of time when you think you are different, you feel like, oh, I want to be like everyone else. But then I think the power comes where you actually be like, no, I am who I am. Maybe I'm different. Maybe that's my difference. But then that quirky part becomes your personality and it makes you who you are. I think it's quite important. I do remember, it was last week, I was walking on the street. Well, obviously, kids was on school holiday. And it was a teenagers walking past me, like a girls. They all looked identical. 7 of them. Yeah. Exactly same outfit. All wore, for some reason, black Crocs. Yeah. No idea why. Identical outfit, all straight in here. But Crocs. I don't know why. I remember like every single person wore black Crocs. I was like, is that a new thing? Something I'm missing?
Oh, God.
And I'm like, why? No, it's quite sad because I think guys maybe have the same thing for the certain thing, but I just kind of noticed the girls and they looked identical. And I was like, it's quite sad because you don't know how look different. And I think maybe at school a lot of times, I presume that's what actually is still happening. If you're a bit different, you might be bullied at school because you know the person that is, I don't know, looking the same like everyone else or have something like everyone else. And it's okay to be different.
It is.
I think it's a strength.
It's so hard to realise that in the moment though. Like when I was in school, I was always the tallest in my class. I've been 5'7". I'm pretty sure I was 5'7" in primary 7. So I was always super tall. I got a hard time for being tall. And it's not anything that's like abnormal or anything like that. But you could, just because I was taller than the rest of my class, and then they all grew up to be the same height as me, so then it wasn't a problem anymore. But because I was the odd one out, that's when it was a problem. And I think it's just part of growing up, is people are going to pick on you for things, but it does make you stronger in the end because you very quickly realise that
maybe that resilience
things are your strengths, and there are things that can make you stand out for a good reason.
That's actually quite amazing to think about it, because I think a lot of people have something maybe to think that maybe they were different, and then sometimes I think I did hear I can't remember, there's a girl, I normally read her books called Manifest, Roxy, I can't remember her second name, but basically I think she was saying on her show that she used to feel like she was bullied and everything else, but then how different she was, but then she was now thinking, nah, this is me, who I am, I love the way I am, I like my brown eyes or curly hair, and then she went in, basically back to her full identity, who she is, without wearing those lenses, like blue lenses and stuff. And then she, I think, went in her own power, which is, I think, quite amazing to see when people eventually maybe go for self-love and then they know for who they are.
And I think that comes as you grow older as well. As you kind of grow and go through life, you go and come into different experiences, and you just realise what's important in life, and it's not always how you look.
That's a good skill to have. Interesting. So we have another quick question, if it's all right. So, or actually, to be honest, it's not a question. Remember we met not long ago again on one of the events on women. What was it?
Female Founder Awards.
Thank you very much. And obviously, I didn't expect to see anyone I know, because we got invited, which was actually really nice. And so we went to Dundee, and I double checked. I was like, is that you?
Yeah.
You know, when you don't expect to see someone, because I know like you live in Inverness, but not somewhere in Dundee where we traveled as well. I was like, yes, I understand. Like it might be a lot female founders and all different ladies there. So also you came there with Amy, who is Miss Scotland, currently Miss Scotland. She's currently preparing for a Miss World, which is a way to start in 11 days. The countdown is on. So it was actually an interesting moment. So we end up speaking about just life, obviously catching up. I was like, hey, hello, what are you doing here? And then it was one interesting topic we touched, which I really want to kind of speak on here just now as well, because I think sometimes having a platform and speak about some topics like awareness is quite good.
Yeah.
And one of the things is skin cancer awareness, something to do with sunbeds and stuff. So I recently, well, don't know, who knows, who doesn't know, had a little health scare, especially like, I think I had it in my mind for a couple of years. I needed to go and check one of my moles because I think they appeared on my leg function 2 years ago after using sunbed, like a black dot. And then it got bigger very quickly. Or it was visibly changing, and I was like, oh my goodness, but it was maybe too small, I didn't do anything. And obviously this after Christmas my mom was like, please just go and check. So I went to a private clinic, skin clinic, and then they kind of were like, yeah, let's just remove it today. So I had instant kind of surgery, and I was waiting for 7 weeks to my results. And I think the time when we met there, I think I had results saying it's not cancerous, but they had changing cells, meaning if you basically leave it, it could be 5 years, 10 years, like it's changing cells. So it's eventually might not be outcome you want. And it's quite scary. And I know we end up speaking. And you said you had exactly the same situation. And Amy, who was standing next to you, was like, I'm the same. I was like, whoa. And I almost thought like, I didn't know anyone else. And all of a sudden, like we're standing, three of us speaking. And we all three had the same situation. So what happened to you?
Fairly similar, actually. I was at my mum and dad's house, and we were getting into their hot tub, and as I was putting my leg into the hot tub, my mum said, that mole on your leg looks really dark. And I said, oh no, it's fine. And she was like, I think you should go and get it checked. And then it just put it in my head. Now, I did admittedly use sunbeds, but not really for a tanning purpose. I used to get really bad eczema around my eyes, and it really, really helped with my eczema. So that was what I was using it for. But then obviously you start going on them, you start getting a tan, then
you feel good, confident.
And then you're like, oh, I'll just go for another one. So yeah, I was going on them, not very regular, maybe twice a month, something like that.
But that was enough.
Yeah, that was enough. So I went to the doctor's. He looked at it. He said, doesn't look too good. Let's get you in to get it checked. So I got referred to a dermatologist at the hospital. They looked at it, said, no, take it off. So they took it off, sent it away. Similar to you, I was about 6-7 weeks waiting.
It's awful, isn't it? All your mind does just overthinking, think about worst case scenario. Unfortunately, that's what your brain does to you.
Yeah. They came back, it was non-malignant, but there was something, it was a form of cancerous cell or something in there. I can't remember the exact terminology of it, but they basically said that although they had taken the mole off, they wanted to take extra skin off just to be sure that they had caught it all.
Removing the margin around it. And then,
So I went back a second time, and then that's when they took off a larger area. So I do have a big scar. It's like this big on my leg. It's fairly thick, but I think just because where it is on my thigh, it's quite a tight stretch of skin.
Why that sounds like my situation.
It's
quite scary because I went back 2 weeks ago for my second one, which it was removing margin. And it was basically because shin is just, you don't have a lot of skin, and I was like, oh my goodness. And so it was a bit scary experience. And obviously now I removed stitches 2 days ago. And it's looking ugly right now, but hopefully that saves life going forward. So rather have a scar that I can rock up and be like, this is, to be honest, now look, someone bit me, looks like shark bite. I'm not joking. It looks like that. And I was like, what do you do with this now?
I know.
How long ago that was for you?
It would have been about 4 years ago. Yeah,
so it was a while
ago.
Did you go to sunbeds again? Or
No, I've never been again. It really freaked me out. I have thought about it because, like I say, the eczema on my eyes, it comes and goes, and it really helps when I go in the sunbeds. But so I have thought about it, but it's just too much of a risk to actually do it. So I'm on fake tan now, and I stink.
For me, I believe it's 100% sunbed because I went a couple of times and it appeared like from nowhere, and actually had like weird itchy sensation almost. And I have like really dry skin. I was like, is that just me or?
Yeah.
But then I think I had the gut feeling, and I was like, this is not looking good or sounding good. It was so tiny as well. But here we are, and it's done and it's dusted. And for me, also for you, been 4 years. For me, like stitches removed, which is literally 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I have to now get the healing process. Is quite. I mean, it could be worse. It's like, I don't know, 3 centimeter long.
Yeah.
It does look like a little shark bite. I'm not joking. It actually, I was laughing, but I don't know if it's funny, but it looks like someone bit me.
You'll forget it's even there. I think, like you say, it's really hard when you see all these things about sunbites giving you cancer and whatever else. You don't think that you're like, oh, what a load of rubbish. Anything can give you cancer nowadays. That's what I used to always say. Anything can give you cancer.
So true. Which
is true. And it's like burnt toast can give you cancer apparently, but sunbeds, they're so dangerous. And yeah, I would just steer clear.
I've not been as well, and I will never go. What about the sun? How do you deal with like sun exposure? Do you like just use SPF?
Yeah, I'm factor 50.
I am getting on factor 50. I used to be factor 30, but no more. I think this summer I'm gonna rock up. I'd rather be pale. To be honest, I'm not even good with fake tan, so I'd rather be pale, but I will never go to sunbed. Yeah. But I think it's a good thing to say because, a lot of people, I think, needs to hear this.
Yeah, and I think
it's bad.
A lot of people can't. Well, I know I probably did when I was younger. Associated cancer with the older people, and not thinking that you can get cancer when you're younger.
There's so many different types as well.
Yeah,
and sunbeds.
Yeah, and you're maybe not fully aware. People aren't fully aware of different types of cancer that you can get, and that you can get them at any age. I know I certainly it was never in my thought that I would have.
Even a scare of
even
some
a
sort.
worry, yeah.
At this age as well.
Yeah.
So young.
Exactly.
So he was like 23?
Yeah, I would have been about 23, yeah.
That's actually crazy. So, but here we are trying to tell you to, first of all, not only watch out for sunbeds, but maybe be aware about your skin.
Yeah, just aware of your body, I think.
Yeah, and then if you have a bad feeling or that gut feeling, rather go to check with your doctor, because by eliminating the problem, removing the mole, is pretty much excellent. What do you say? Like, I think the diagnosis or whatever else coming afterwards, it's basically 99% you in a good place. Only if something was bad, for example, you like 90% in a positive outcome rather than being anything else. So don't ignore your gut feeling or your body, because it might save your life long term, because it's quite simple thing seeing something like a mole on your skin, but it's even worse when it comes to sun or sunbeds, which doesn't help. So of course we're coming closer to the end, but I thought to ask maybe a couple small questions. So if you could whisper one message to every girl watching Miss World who dreams to being on that stage, what would you tell her?
Oh, that's a good one. I think it sounds really cliche, and I think if somebody had told it to me, I probably would have rolled my eyes and said, oh, shut up. But I think shoot for the stars is always like, no dream is too big of a dream. And I think no matter how much you think something is unachievable, it's always achievable if you put in the right amount of work and strive for what you want in life. And I think that's something that I realised throughout my year and coming to this year. When I thought that when I won, I thought this is what I want now, and it was my last opportunity to do it before I turned 26. So I really thought, if I'm going to do this, I need to do this now, and I need to give it my all. And then afterwards, I really wanted to make an impact when I had that title. And then afterwards, I wanted to continue having some sort of an impact in some way or shape or form. Yeah, to have a purpose. And I think not just in pageantry, but after, it does give you a good sense of purpose, and it makes you realise what's important. So yeah, I think shoot for the stars is always a good one. And
that's a good advice. Yeah. Thank you very much. And that's one maybe more personal on a level. So what's something the little girl version of you would be shocked to know about who you are today, if someone like when you was like 12 years old little Chelsie?
Oh God. I don't think I would have imagined myself in this position at all. Not whatsoever. Like I say, when I was younger, I was definitely more shy and more of an introvert. And I am still to an extent, but I do have the ability now to switch on and turn off whenever. But I don't think I ever would have thought I had that in me to be able to be confident and to be able to speak in front of all these people. Because when I was in school, I was the person at the front of the class doing their school talk and shaking with a bit of paper in their hand. That was me. And I just don't think I would have ever had anything that I've done in my realm. So yeah, I
think she would be proud.
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you very much. So just a final little game, if I can find the right card. Do you think I will make it? It's almost like shuffling cards right now. I did see it here. Here we are.
Okay.
So like I feel like a teacher, like at school. So that's a quick game, just a very quick game. Basically, is it yes or nah?
Okay.
So wearing your crown in the airport.
Oh, personally, no.
It's a no.
Personally, it's a no.
Even maybe taking a picture with the Scottish flag.
Taking a picture and then taking it off again. Yeah, I'm just not one to like. No, going up to the check-in desk with my crown on. Oh, that's screaming. Give me an upgrade for free.
But it's a big no.
Yeah.
Okay, manifesting before every competition.
I'm more of like a day-to-day manifestation. Like I think like when I wake up in the morning, I just give little. Sorry, this is supposed to be yes or no, and I'm giving you an essay.
But I love it. Go, girl. Yeah. No, we love manifesting. Everyone knows.
I wake up in the morning and I kind of set my intentions for the day and what I want to achieve throughout my day, and that's more of why.
So I feel like then it's a yes.
It is probably a yes. I probably woke up on that morning and set my intentions.
Just make sure you are in the game. So that's I think gonna be a yes, but I'm gonna
yes.
So still watching pageant videos at 2 a.m. for info. It's because you said that before.
It's in your blood after you've done
especially when you just a way to go to sleep and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna have another scroll.
I think I woke up at like 5 o'clock in the morning or something the other day to watch the announcement of Miss World Thailand. I was like, I need to see who it's gonna be. so
it's a big
yes. That's a big yes.
Well, lovely. Thank you very much. I think that's a wrap on another inspiring chat with a total queen. Remember, your crown isn't something you earn, it's something you already have.
Aww.
So walk tall, dream big, and stay glowing, babes. Catching you on next episode, hopefully very soon. Until then, stay fierce, stay glowing, and remember, you are the boss of your own life. Ciao. Thank you, guys.